What is the appeal of Mr. Bean? I didn't know before researching this movie, but apparently there is a not insignificant amount of people out there that just don't like the character. One way to analyze this and almost all story characters is to put them on a scale, with one side being likability and the other side being competence. The thing about Mr. Bean is that he's built on irony. He's so incompetent, so unlikable in demeanor and appearance that he breaks the scale and swings to the extreme of all sides. He's a talentless buffoon that somehow finds ways to always fix his messes. He's a creepy, self-centered weirdo that by the end becomes a celebrated hero. He's a parody of the generic everyman protagonist. And if that floats your boat, watch Bean 1997. You'll love it. And subscribe for more shorts.
Right. Johnny English. I'm here to see Pegasus. Still, no sense rushing things.
There are some items you need to...
The Johnny English series isn't some hidden gem of entertainment that you need to watch, but if you're in the mood for something juvenile, this has somehow 3 movies, so that'll keep you busy. I think the first one is the weakest though. Yes, all of them are basically the same, but the first one genuinely tries to engage the audience by letting the protagonist have a real moment of vulnerability. You get to see a side of Johnny that's never revisited in the other movies, and it feels like the final act is going to have an emotional anchor. But then Johnny climbs up at Castle's latrine, and yes, it's as disgusting as you can imagine it. And then Johnny's sidekick also climbs up the latrine later. I am so glad that nothing like this ever happens in the other movies. So get a little goofy, and this film can be found to have merit, but swiftly move on. It starts to stink after a while.
Oi! Who do you think you are?
In my eyes, Johnny English Reborn is the best of the Johnny English trilogy. It basically upgrades every aspect of the original movie and has no poop joke. Balancing the facade of being a James Bond parody with the wackiness of a Mr. Bean episode means that of course it's a little emotionally cold, but it also means that Johnny has a flat character arc. The humor keeps the plot and characters fresh enough for that though. The best thing about the franchise though is that they only have the barest semblance of interconnectedness, which means that you can skip the first one and dive straight into this one without missing a beat. If you ever wanted to see Mr. Bean as a suave English spy bumbling through missions while still keeping up an egotistical facade, then I highly recommend this movie.
Just cyclists, sir. I mean, we'll get past in a minute.
They're French cyclists, Buff, and they're obstructing Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Wiper Stalker's arm, sir.
Rowan Atkinson makes these Johnny English films, both literally and figuratively. I can't really think of any other actor that could replace him and still make 3 movies of the pitch James Bond but he's an idiot while still acting cool. There should be more physical comedy in live-action movies. I know it's mostly seen as a cheap alternative to situational or verbal comedy, but this movie feels strangely novel for having it. If you think I'm purposefully not talking about the movie, you're kinda right. This 3rd installment stretches that previous pitch a little thin, and as much as I've praised Atkinson, his age is showing a little for playing a spy that's supposed to be doing a lot of running around. I recommend watching it just to completely see the trilogy and to appreciate Rowan Atkinson's filmography. Comedy movies are always a little hard to review, but there comes a time when comedy isn't enough. And I feel that Mr. Bean's Holiday found that time, specifically 90 minutes. I am a firm believer that pure comedy films should be 70 minutes max. Sure, there's that whole Sabine being an actress and that kid that got lost subplot going on, but they take a back seat. The comedy always comes first, and when your story has nothing else to offer but gags, it gets a little stale. Maybe that's just me though. I watched this after the Johnny English films and Bean 1997. I still recommend this movie. Rowan Atkinson is still amazing, and subscribe for more shorts. Also, a fourth Johnny English film has been announced, so that's gonna be interesting. Like Rowan Atkinson's 70 years old, man.